Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mining Now. I'm your host, Jared Downey. Today on the show, we have Terry Joseph. He is the president and partner at TurnKey Communications. And we're going to be discussing some networks underground in the mining space that they are the installer of. We did another episode with Rogers on their private wireless network. And we're going to cross-link between these two episodes so you can jump back and forth. We'll also play a clip of a little partial interview that we did with Terry underground, so you can see actually the level of connection that we had. It's going to be we're going to cover some ground with who TurnKey Communications is, and we're also going to showcase the Rogers Wireless private network that was installed with the help of TurnKey Communications. So lots of fun on this interview. Terry, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Thanks for having me here, Jared. It's great to be on and excited about the show here.
Yeah, and we got to talk a little bit on the underground, and we'll show a clip of that in a bit. But before we do that, who is TurnKey Communications?
Well, we're an integration company in the telecommunications space. We've been in business since 1995. The two original gentlemen that started the company were ex-Bell technicians who found an opportunity to start a contracting company up. And, we started in the telecom space working for companies like Bell Canada, Shaw Cable, TELUS, those kinds of companies, those ISP companies. And then we moved into the mining space here in Northwestern Ontario. We've worked in pretty much every mine in this area, doing fiber optic cable installations, networking, Wi-Fi, anything to do with telecommunications underground and above ground. We've been in that space for over 20 years as well.
I get the pleasure of speaking privately off air with a lot of people, and in the Rogers case, they brought me out to the NorCat Underground Center, so I got to spend a day with them, and it was lots of fun. A lot of moving around, but I know we actually made you wait way longer. I wouldn't even say how long on the air. So thank you for being so patient with us and being here now. But they spoke very highly of you off camera, which is when, even for me doing this show, is when it means the most. And I'm curious, from your point of view, what is the edge that TurnKey has? Because from the conversation again in private, it's clear that you do have an edge, just the way that you deliver and the expertise you have. What do you think it is?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons why we're successful. One is that we have quite a large base of technicians that have Common Core Underground certification, which isn't really common with telecommunications specific companies. There's a lot of companies around that have capabilities of working underground, but not specifically in the telecommunications space. So that's our specialty. That's where we thrive. And so that's one of the reasons why. And another reason is I think our capabilities of, taking on a project and doing whatever it takes to get the job done, to find creative solutions, and make the project work, in very harsh conditions. Mining, underground, especially, the working conditions are quite challenging. And I think our companies developed a niche in working in those challenging conditions and being successful and giving a good product based with all those conditions involved.
These projects, this is coming from someone who doesn't have the experience in the space. They are these. When I was walking through that system, did you install the whole underground system there?
So for Rogers, yes, we did. So the LTE 5G network underground, we installed all the fiber optic cabling. We actually assembled or built all of the radio and strand mounts in our warehouse here in Thunder Bay, Ontario. All the materials were shipped in a big case lots, and we actually assembled them all. We fabricated custom shipping containers for each one of these strand mount radios for the cellular or private network, sorry, LTE 5G. And then we installed all of those in the mine. We drilled all the holes in the rock and mounted them and we actually devised custom fabrication because never really been done before with these particular mounts underground. So this was the first time that it's ever been done with this configuration
Mm.
for Rogers. So we were kind of tasked with figuring out how to mount these to the rock ceilings and to get the wiring right and all that kind of stuff. So we basically did all of the physical work in the mine and did the installation of the complete system.
Let's talk about our heavy industry tour brought to you by Savanna Equipment, supplying mining equipment worldwide, and Corporate Traveler Canada, helping companies travel the globe simpler, faster, and easier. We are heading to events across North America, Africa, and Australia, and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsman.com to be part of Crownsman's Heavy Industry World Tour. Created and designed by industry leaders with decades of frontline experience, Sophie is a platform that brings workers home every day. Give your workforce the communication tools they need on the job to do it safely and productively. Visit Sophie.com today to discover how you can leverage Sophie to increase efficiencies, mitigate risk, and optimize collaboration. Safer, smarter, Sophie. HF Sinclair, which includes the Petro-Canada Lubricants brand, is a proud sponsor of the show. Petro-Canada Lubricants products and services are proven to maximize equipment performance, productivity, and overall savings. From heavy-duty engine oils to hydraulic fluids, ATFs, gear oils, and greases, Petro-Canada Lubricants is committed to delivering innovative solutions that deliver value and keep businesses moving. They have dedicated technical expertise, knowledge, and know-how to help customers in the mining industry operate smoothly with improved equipment reliability and performance, and help support mining operations' ESG goals. Learn more at lubricants.petro-canada.com or contact them at 1-866-335-3369 to arrange a call with one of their technical experts. North Isle's mission is to be Canada's leading sustainable resource company and is on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol NCX. North Isle owns the North Island Project, the most developable copper-gold project in Canada. The North Island Project has compelling project economics, is near infrastructure, has tremendous exploration upside, and has leading-edge Indigenous engagement and support from all levels of government. 2023 could be the biggest year yet. Learn more by visiting northisle.ca or by calling them at 778-638-2515 or emailing them at info@northisle.ca.
You know what? I've got a question coming up, but I'm actually gonna cut to the clip from it because I want to show when we did that clip. You were in Thunder Bay,
Yeah,
right?
I was in Thunder Bay in my office here.
Yeah, I was underground at the mine, and then our production team was in Vancouver. So three different locations. They were live editing in HD with me underground, you in Thunder Bay. Really, the proof is in the pudding. So I'm going to cut to that clip just to show the audience what we were able to do with the connection that you ended up installing.
Well, just the ability of what we're doing here. I mean, this right now, I'm in an underground mine. Gowdy Molina is producing the episode from New Westminster, BC. You're in Thunder Bay, is that right?
Yep, that's right. Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Yeah, we're filming this in HD. The only issue we've had is the headset doesn't fit over the hard hat, which I can't take on. That's the only issue that we're experiencing. And can you tell us a little bit more about this specific project with Rogers and
Sure.
the NORCAT Underground Training Center?
Yeah, sure. So, we were approached. Ericsson is a big partner of Rogers Cable, Rogers
Mm-hmm.
Communications. So, we were approached. We became a vendor of Ericsson and Rogers, but um, Rogers was looking to expand, I think, they're into the private network world in the mining industry underground. It's an amazing technological feat that it can be done, and there's quite
Yeah.
a big opportunity worldwide for LTE slash 5G technology underground. The problem is there's not a lot of companies like ourselves that specialize in running this kind of equipment, installing this kind of equipment underground. You have to have trained personnel that can legally go underground, Common Core certified. And we've been doing it in Northwestern Ontario for 25 years. So we've been, the forefront in this industry in our area for quite a long time for many of the local mines. So that's how we kind of got brought in, was it having a company that could do the technological part of it and also be able to work underground. So that's how we really fit in perfectly with the Rogers private network plan.
What was this project like at NORCAT? Was this did you know about this before you came on board to get involved with it? Did you know about this site and everything already?
Well, we knew about the NORCAT site because it's a it's a place where you send people to get trained for underground and
Right. Yeah.
underwater training, right? So we were aware of the facility. We weren't quite aware of how advanced it was at not only doing training but also at the forefront for emerging technologies to be tested. Whether it's networks or even equipment, mining equipment, new types of mining equipment, gets tested there because it's very controlled. A working mine, even though this is a working mine, but it's quite um, normally you might be, kilometer underground and the conditions are quite adverse. So to take
Yeah.
something new underground to test it in a working mine that might affect production can cause a lot of issues. So this particular mine is great for that. And they've really embraced the, testing of new products and technologies at this mine. And it's just amazing facility.
Where had you these types of setups? What is the most challenging thing about them? I know you work not just in the mining space, across other spaces, but if you want to be specific to underground, or if you want to expand on it, that's fine. What is the most? What is the biggest challenge you run into when you're onboarding one of these projects?
So whether it's underground or above ground, because we do work at a lot of above ground mines, or there's quite a many facilities have either both, or you have above ground operations. Mining is typically very challenging because of the working conditions are very hot, very, very dusty. There's big machinery that's running nonstop that you have to be cognizant of. So safety is a big challenge. Not a challenge, of course. We're very safe, but you have to be very, very aware of your surroundings. And at the end of the day, most mining facilities you can't affect production for any length of time because
Right.
that's a big thing. So we've been working in these settings for quite some time, and we our staff understand the challenges and working conditions are.
Okay, so Terry, from that little clip that we saw, and again, you'll see the Rogers interview in that there'll be a link in as well. But in when I was looking up in that ceiling, and then today when you were talking, what comes to my mind is back in the day, I had a little gutter company, and it's unbelievable how something so simple. It's gutter on a fascia, and then you run a pipe down to drain the wall. And with the exception of a few, every project was just always a little bit different. The roof just changed a little bit here and there. And I'm really curious about installing something like this. Is you've got all this happening, and we walked through it in the Rogers interview, like showing it in the ceiling and like what it is in your mind to install it, and then what it is on the ground. And I'm guessing that has something to do with your expertise. How much does it match up, the planning to the actual implementation?
Yeah, well, planning. So, I mean, as you could see in a mine, that the ceilings are not level, they're not straight, they're not, they're not easy to work in. There's mesh, there's all kinds of other pipes in the way. Whether it's and this particular mine, NORCAT, is actually a quite very clean mine actually because it's a teaching mine.
Yeah, there were students when we were there.
Typically, the working conditions are extremely horrible when it comes to the dirt and the diesel dust, and we're working in the ceiling space, and so and it's hot and wet and all those kind of things. So basically, with our team here, we devised a mounting system that we could adjust. So basically, we drilled holes in the rock and we put in ready rod, and then this isn't complicated stuff, but
Right.
it's just making so that it would be level and we'd be able to do it in a timely manner and not have to reinvent the wheel every time. So we basically came up with a process that we were going to do this by drilling, anchor points in and then installing the ready rod, and then the mounts were already prefabricated, so they were ready to go. We just slipped them up, nuts and bolts and washers, and used the level and adjusted them and made sure they were, plumb and correct, and then we then we were done installing the actual radio mounts. And then, of course, we had to run the fiber to them as well, which, is basically just a labor intensive project through the ceiling space all the way back to the head end, which you saw where the data cabling, the fiber cabling terminated into racks in there.
The metals and mining industry bears a significant responsibility for meeting the dual challenge of growing demand for resources and rising standards of living from an increasing global population, while also addressing the sustainability goals of the future. Aspen Technology is here to partner with industry leaders and help them achieve those objectives with solutions in areas of advanced process controls and asset performance management that utilize artificial intelligence and machine learning to optimize their mining operations for both profitability and environmental responsibility. With Aspen Tech, you'll not only reduce downtime and improve safety, but also minimize waste, lower emissions, and improve operational efficiencies. Their expert team is always available to provide support and guidance, ensuring that you reach your operational and sustainability goals. Aspen Tech, empowering the metals and mining industry to meet the dual challenge. Learn more at aspentech.com. Safesite has developed a suite of innovative technologies focused on step change improvements that impacts vertical mining, shaft measurement, underground mapping and survey, mine rescue, and emergency response underground. Safesite solutions introduce new possibilities in approach and efficiency while keeping every site safer. Safesite solutions deliver valuable data that can quickly be turned into actionable decision data that allows effective and safe operation. Digital guide alignment will reduce shaft maintenance costs, underground mapping drone technology that removes shadows for 100% accurate reconciliation, and mine rescue drones that extend the reach and range of responders on surface and underground. Visit safesitexp.com for more info. Okay, so let's give a special thank you to one of our longest sponsors of the show, Savanna Equipment. And I'm actually going to hand it over to Jared so that he can give you a little bit more info on Savanna Equipment.
Yeah, thank you. So I mean, people see them as sponsors, so they'll ask me, kind of who they are, what they are, and just trying to understand the scope of the company. So Savanna Equipment is a mining supply company, and they're delivering on the whole equipment supply chain. So everything from the ore processing to underground mining, open pit. They're in hard rock and placer operations. And what they're doing is they're sourcing equipment from all over the world and then delivering it all over the world. Now, they are a Canadian company, so they're based there, but, let's say, they're selling entire ore processing plants. So there might be a plant down in Latin America, and there's a new mine that needs that plant in Africa or somewhere in the US. So they're facilitating that entire transactions. But they're also delivering, an individual conveyor or a concentrator or a pump package or just an electrical package. So it really is the whole gambit of the mining equipment supply chain.
Oh, that's great then. Well, then you definitely have to check them out if you're looking for mining equipment. Visit them at savannaequipment.com, where you will find more equipment every day.
You mentioned your team. What is, you put me on there. I'll probably be there 2 years trying to figure it out. I think you did it in some crazy record time. I forget what you said. It was something wild.
Well, I can't take a lot of credit there. My business partner Louis Grenier, he's a wizard, and he makes us look really good. Experience of 35 years of doing this type of work and just learning what mines are like in the situations, and just general practice of installing cabling or fiber optic cabling and stuff. That helped. We definitely had a crazy timeline. Originally, we were going to have probably on site like a month or 6 weeks to do this work. We did it in 10 days.
Wow.
Norcat was unreal. They had their people available for us 14 hours a day. Because the timelines couldn't change. That Rogers wanted this completed for a trade show that was going to be put on at the mine, and there was some material ordering, through COVID and all those types of things. It was tough to get some of the hardware that they needed. So basically, when it was go time, it wasn't easy. I'll tell you that, and it was a lot of sleepless nights thinking about how we were going to do this, but it paid off, and I think it worked out wonderfully for Rogers, and it did for TurnKey as well. We did a great job, and I know that Rogers is extremely happy, and hopefully, that transpires into different types of projects for us.
You enjoy this a lot, though. From what I gather, I've talked to you. We're supposed to have a meeting, and you were having to have the meeting from I think one was from the truck while you were driving, but you sound, and sometimes it's at the end. I know you've had a long day because of different time zone. You sound way too excited for the amount of hours you've worked. It's crazy.
We're passionate about what we do here
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, the two previous owners of TurnKey started something really special with this company. We we pride ourselves, the companies that we work with. I think we give a great product. We do great workmanship, and we do what we say we're going to do. And I think that transpires into the large client base of excellent companies that we work for. Yeah, we love getting out of bed every day and doing the work here that we're doing and expanding and growing and looking for new challenges. And not everybody gets that out of their careers
No.
or their career path. So we're pretty fortunate here between the group that works with us, the employees that we have that contribute to our success. We try to share that with them, and we try to include them in everything we do. So yeah, it's pretty exciting around here. Right? Telecommunications is definitely booming, and in the mining industry is booming as well. So there's opportunities for companies like ourselves to
You've
excel,
grown
for sure.
You've grown quite a bit, right?
Yeah, we've tripled probably in the last 3 to 4 years
Wow.
in size. We've done well, but we've been managing that with making sure that we still maintain the level of service and to our clients.
That's the tough balance, right? Once people know you're good at something and everybody wants you to do it, now you got to make sure all the good people are still available to do the thing that people are specifically asking you for.
And that's the key, is making sure that we manage the workload and the quality of work, and make sure that we have that quality control and making sure that all those things stay in alignment, because we built, the original owners and then us continue to build a company with a great reputation in the industry. So we definitely don't want to overextend ourselves. So we're working hard at recruiting. We're working hard at, bringing on new, support staff, buying a lot of equipment, and it's just a perpetual thing where we're just trying to grow but also keep, like I said, maintain that quality workmanship, quality product that we give to our customers.
What makes a project challenging? And I'll expand on the question a little bit. I'm not obviously asking to name specific projects, but when you're seeing like a mine, or what is it? Is it a type of terrain? Is it a type of environment? Is it navigating with their shifts to be able to actually get in there and not disrupt their work? Like, what are the big challenges in this type of operation?
It's all of those things that you mentioned. Working in mines are challenging. Production is number one. So no matter what projects that they have to do that are outside of producing whatever type of if it's gold or if it's nickel or if it's potash, whatever it may be, production is number one. So first of all, the working conditions typically in a mine when you're underground, a kilometer, it's usually hot, it's humid. There's challenges with the environment. People don't quite understand what it's like underground, but it's a whole different world.
Mm-hmm.
You're cut off too from what you need. You got to be very, very prepared when you go underground, because they don't just bring the hoist to you every 10 seconds when you want to go up and down and if you get a tool or if you get a piece of material. So there's challenges that just normal work above ground that you would just never experience, that you have to be extremely prepared, extremely organized, make sure you have all of the equipment and tools that you need when you go underground to work for these 12-hour shifts, because once you go down, you're not coming back up.
Right. And is that what sort of where the rubber meets the road on what, like that 6 weeks that you or that sorry, what was the timeline on the NorCap project?
Well, originally, we started planning 6-7 months in advance, but I mean the initial time was and that included like the assemblies of all those strand mounts. So we were anticipating 2 weeks to do that. We had a crew in here working Labor Day weekend. They worked 18 hours a day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, to build all the radio mounts. So it was crazy. And I kudos to our team. They gave an unbelievable effort to come in on a long weekend on one of the Labor Day.
Yeah.
But we had no choice, and they just pulled it off. And so that we shrunk a 2 week down to 4 days for the assembly process, and then we were hoping for about a month to really make sure that we could take our time and do it correctly. We did it correctly, but we did it as fast as humanly possible as well, and we were able to pull it off. But it was very challenging.
Yeah. So now going back to the planning though, is that what separates getting a project done? It's not so much drilling a hole in the rock and mounting. I mean, I'm sure your crew know how to do that. It's making sure the machine is there. These little things that just add up. Again, I came out of the home exterior contracting side, and that was just like you'd forget a tool and it would add like hours because you got to run back. You get it. Like it just that seems to be the sort of the key.
Yeah, and that's what happened. There was some things that we had to do that I don't know, like a lot of companies could do, but we had some of the wrong materials that were provided by, Rogers. Unfortunately, there was some miscommunications on the build of material orders and stuff. We were flying stuff in from Winnipeg, and I did we did you know where the mine is. It's about 30 minutes outside of Sudbury itself, and I think I did 1,400 kilometers going back and forth to town over those 2 weeks because we had just constantly, putting out fires and reconfiguring because it was just such a crazy timeline. We planned as best as we could, but I spent a lot of time procuring other materials and hardware on site, real time, figuring it out, troubleshooting how we could make a solution.
You didn't keep it you didn't just manage it from an executive level back in the office.
No, not in this one. As big as we're getting and as much as we grow, I have 20 years of mining experience and just telecommunications, almost 35 years of experience, and so my business partners and I ourselves, as much as we have grown, we still need to keep our thumb on the pulse of what's going on, especially for these high profile projects. So I was there for every minute of it, and from start to finish on the planning and implementation. And so was my other business partner that did most of the actual work. And I was more logistical, just trying to make sure we had everything we needed. But supervision on this scale of a project, this important a project, we were there for sure.
Yeah, I remember it was, I'll say 10 years. There was a huge thing for a long time circulating, like, work on your business, not in it. I don't know who came up with that stupid thing, but, and if you're at a large enough scale, you're some huge investment, you're Berkshire Hathaway or something. I mean, then, okay, that's a legitimate thing. You're buying Dairy Queen, but that for businesses, in the hundreds of people or below that, you got to be. I mean, your team needs to see that you're on the ground too. They're working 18-hour days on Labor Day, and they see you taking pictures of yourself on a vacation. You don't have your team. Like they might do the work, but they're not. It's not going to be the same level.
Yeah, that's the heart of small business. Like there's a lot of companies that are a lot bigger than us out, in Canada that can do the same kind of work, but they're big corporations. They don't have, they can't switch gears. They can't pivot on site immediately like we can. That's one of the things I think that we thrive as well is we're very focused on telecommunications. We're very focused on staying in our lane. We're very focused on being able to do what we need for the customer. But big corporations that have to get 17 sign-offs before you can make a change order. That's a challenge too in its own right. So being small and nimble and being able to shift gears is, I think, a great asset for us. And we're we're involved in that in the trenches when we have to be. Of course, I'm in the office quite a bit now as well. I'm getting a lot older and my body can't handle working in a mine every day. But when it's warranted, we're definitely out there for sure.
Yeah, it's what just struck me when you just said that too is that there was a time when a small business, the problem was you couldn't get your name. It was a lot of word of mouth. You couldn't get your name out there. But now with the internet and all these platforms, you being on our platform, you can still be small, involved in the business, and still, probably 30,000 people will watch this episode. You can still get your name out there. Well, you don't have to have this whole marketing branch and this whole like executive strategy, and you can actually have that flexibility if you're sort of willing to look at those options. And it really opens a door for smaller businesses to be able to penetrate markets in a way that would have been very challenging for them, 20 years 100%. Ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah, 100%. You're exactly right. Like, our company was built on our core customers of, the Bells, the Telluses, the Shaw Cables, the hydro companies and schools and hospitals and stuff like that. But there's a big market in the mining industry as well, not just in Northwestern Ontario. And the specialty work that we do, we're not challenged by geographics so much anymore either in our world, right? So, mobilization is a plane ride away, now, whereas 20 years ago it was quite a big deal to fly around to do this kind of stuff or travel equipment and stuff. Now, it's not nearly as big a challenge. So there's opportunities outside of our home territory now that have opened up over the last 10 or 15 years that we intend to aggressively go after and to continue to offer great products for, specifically, in the mining industry, but in all the other genres that we have, because we do quite a bit of work in many different settings, industrial, school, hospitals, whatever it may be.
So is that the plan? Is to like beyond Ontario and down? Is there sort of I mean, I'm not asking for secret sauce, but just is there a sort of a large scale plan over the next few years that you can discuss?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. We're definitely engaged in in growing. We're definitely looking at our business plan, and we're looking at hiring some key people that can start getting our name out there in a larger scale in a different kind of world. We want to grow and we want to really stick with what we're good at, and we're good at fiber optic cabling. We're good at networking. We're good at structure wiring. We're good at installing those equipment for those things, whether it's Wi-Fi or switches or whatever it may be. That's our forte. We're definitely going to aggressively go after it in the mining industry where it makes sense for us.
Yeah, I'll ask a last question, but just a professional question for you. And I've asked a different version of this question to different people, and I sort of select the people that I think will have some perspective on it. For you, working the long days, taking on a company, there's former owners, now you're taking on an established company, you're trying to grow it. It takes a certain mindset. Did you have that at 20? Did you start to think like that at 30? Where did you sort of get that work ethic, but also that sort of positive attitude? And I don't mean positive in the sense that everything's wonderful, but just that you seem to enjoy it and you're really wanting it to be great. You even asked a little bit on one of our conversations about like how our company got started. Like you have this curiosity about, how we developed our business and maybe you can glean something from that for your own. That's type of approach is very powerful. So I'm just curious, is that something that you saw that you should develop? Is it something you just always had? Where does it sort of come from for you?
I think it's in me. Like, my parents were entrepreneurial people. They owned several businesses and they worked really hard. And at an early age, I started working for a family run business, 10, 11 years old. And I just, my whole life, I've always worked hard, worked the extra days and gave the extra effort for the companies that I worked for. I did also own a couple of small businesses before this, additionally to my career path, in the telecommunications field. And it just continued to blossom. I always knew that I had the entrepreneurial spirit, and I knew we were going to be successful. My wife, when I told her we were going to be buying TurnKey, she's not entrepreneurial at heart, so she has struggled with it at first, but she's seen how we've been able to take it to the next level, and we continue to do that. So I've just been, my parents gave me a lot of leadership when I was younger, and then I just continued to push through that and grow it inside me, and I'm pretty confident in what we do.
Did you with those other businesses? Did you found those businesses as opposed to? So what is the difference for you having taking on a company that is established versus that starting a company from the ground?
Well, I mean, obviously, not just any company. I mean, TurnKey was extremely successful regionally here. Built a great name. I actually worked with TurnKey as a subcontracting company. One of my businesses was a company that I did subcontract work for 15 years before I came on as a general manager, which is 6 years ago now. And so I knew this business. I knew TurnKey from 1995. Actually, when it was started, I was involved in it in one way or another, not directly, but I always knew that it was a strong company and they built a great business. So it wasn't challenging for me to want to get into that. There's challenges when you start your own business from scratch, obviously, because you need to build client base. You need to get your name out there. So this was a perfect fit for me. I know we basically absolved my other company into this company, into TurnKey, and after when we purchased and when I came out as a general manager, I sold actually my business to my two current partners.
Oh,
And
I
they
see.
ran that for 2 or 3 years before we purchased TurnKey. So
Wow. And when people say stuff like that on the show, when you're saying about it, it's I always sort of jump to people that are entrepreneurial, that are trying, and I think, like, I hope you hear these stories, like 15 years. We've had other guys on here, and people and entrepreneurs talk about what they've done, and all of them, they have the amount of time they have put in to understanding the business they're in before making that pivot to running a company like TurnKey. It's such an important lesson to learn, like, pay your dues. And this is coming from someone who didn't pay my dues a couple times and got burned. I burned myself by just not being patient enough. And it takes a long time. Like, your professional journey, it's not 2 or 3 years in the industry and now you're running a company. It's not what's happened. But yet you're still enjoying it. It does pay off. You don't lose. It's not like in 15 years you just lose your passion for it.
no, and it's different. Like, so I mean, we're all putting in long days. I'm here at 6 in the morning. I leave it after 6 at night, and I try to take every single weekend off if I can, because I'm already doing 60, 70 hours a week during the week. But I never dread getting out of bed. And I did in some of my other career paths while I was doing, working for other, like a telecommunications company, doing, what I did for a living, and then did my other stuff on the side and did my side business. And I don't even ever once not want to get out of bed and come here. So that's something for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing, and lots of fun, and it's great to talk to you again. Thank you for waiting with that other project. We were on site. At least we got some footage from it. So I do appreciate your patience with us and coming back on and letting us have, the conversation I knew we would have and I wanted to have. So I do appreciate you coming back and doing it again.
No problem. It's a pleasure, and we're looking forward to growing with even with your group there, and I look forward to maybe some other opportunities in the future. So
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Terry.
no problem.
Okay. And thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And you might have come to this episode from the link from the Rogers, or you might want to go to the Rogers episode. That one's quite neat. It's actually taking you inside the Norcat Center and the mine. And lots of great content. And thank you very much, Terry. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you to our sponsors. Mining Now is our biggest show, produced by Crownsman, and because the mining community loves mining, so it works. Thank you, everybody. We will see you on the next episode of Mining Now.